everybody. I wasn't really anticipating going live, but here we are. It is so hot where I am. Hey Peyton, how are you? Hi Robin, hi Sideways Stewie. What's up guys? Thanks for joining. Coming over from Benton's live stream, rant, megalomaniac, what the F. Like, what is happening? It's like projection city this morning. Triggered. Oh my gosh. Hi Lisa Rose 18. Oh my gosh. So if you guys aren't here, hi Quantum Epic. If you guys are just here for me, thank you so much. But a lot of people are trickling over from Benton's live stream, from which I have unsubbed today. Because he is not Sammy, Benton. What a doozy. I don't even know what prompted me to call in the first place, but I called in to try to talk to Illumitami, which was pointless. They just constantly scream over me and talk in circles, like Illumitami would say something and then contradict himself like a pathological liar. And they immediately bring up estrogen. It's like this misogyny is pervasive, and it's like I feel that it's like I've extended Benton's audience. Like I have promoted Benton's live streams. I've called into his own shows and uplifted his shows, and he wanted to say that I don't let him participate. Or see, this is the core thing, is that these guys are threatened by women like me, and they're misogynists. They like to say, oh, they have great relationships with their mothers and their sisters, blah, blah, blah. But in the same breath, he went on and on and on about men's roles and women's roles, and how a woman will never be as good as a man in a man's role. And then in the same breath, he talks about going to see his lady doctor who checked his testosterone levels. Like, bro, you just like we're talking about how women can't do men's jobs, and then you talked about your lady doctor checking your balls. Like, do you see the hypocrisy there? Okay. Anyways, Benton went on some kind of rant talking about how he's not in my peer group, and he'll never be part of my peer group. And then he started talking about women, as women are the peer group. Like it's like any woman in his audience, any woman that calls in, they're the women. Like, they're all lumped as a woman or estrogen. Like the same with the, oh, you just have estrogen. It's like, I'm sure you've met educated women. I'm sure you've met dumb women. I'm sure you've met slutty women. I'm sure you've met prudish women. There's a spectrum of people. There's a spectrum of women. There's a spectrum of men. But it's like they are so threatened by a woman coming in and speaking. Like, they wouldn't even let me speak. Like, you guys have to understand, if you want to call in type show, a panel type show, and Drew Chalked Body Outline understands this. And if you are in any kind of like higher society, in the courtroom, you can't scream over each other. You don't win arguments by screaming over each other. Like, Benton seems to think that that is like a valuable asset to have in winning arguments or in having discussions, is how much somebody can scream over the other person. But that's not how you have a discussion. And it's every time I tried to talk, somebody started screaming over me. Like, it was, and so it's like when you have to go into these lower level discussions with these beings, the only way you can get your thought out is to scream louder over them. Because you give them their chance to talk politely, give them their soapbox, and then you go, okay, this is how I feel, blah, 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 and then it's right over you. They are already rebuting you before you even have a chance to make your point. Like, this is not how you have a discussion. This is not, that's a screaming match. That is a measuring your, who has the biggest D. I'm not going to play that game. And then you say, oh, well, you call in, you're welcome here. Yeah, I'm not welcome there. I'm not welcome there. So he goes on and on about, like, how he's not in my peer group. He's not in my peer group. And so I tried to call in, and I'm like, Benson, I'd like to speak, to what you said, but not if Illumitami is on here. And so Illumitami's like, oh, I'll mute myself. I was like, awesome. So Illumitami muted himself. I was like, I'll give props to Illumitami. Like, that was cool. But I started to say, it was like, so Ben, you just said that you are not in my peer group. And he, like, cut me off, and he's like, no, I'm not going to let you say that. I'm not going to let you say that. And then he cut me, he ended my stream. And then he went on to, like, an hour rant about how, like, I'm some kind of feminist, that I'm trying to, take over, that I'm trying to change him. But then he's like, you can come here and talk here, but only if you talk in this way. And you can only ask me questions in this way. And if you start to say something, then I'm gonna cut you off. Like, it's just ridiculous. And then he went on some, like, megalomaniac rant on a superiority complex, and how he's better than everybody else, and that he's better than women. And then he talks about his lady doctor. It's like, bro, if you're so good, why didn't you find a man doctor to check your balls? If a woman can't do a man's job, why you have a woman doctor checking your balls? Like, can't you find a man urologist to check your balls? Like, wouldn't he do a better job since a woman can't do a man's job? Like, I would think a man would be the best to do a ball check, right? Because a woman's too dumb. A woman has too much estrogen. A woman, like, weren't you worried about your doctor's estrogen levels when she was checking your balls? Like, it's just ridiculous. It's really juvenile. It shows that he's really immature and scared. I think the root of it is that these guys don't like a woman taking the fight. So even though when I call in, when I participate in his show, I'm bringing my viewers, I'm bringing a fresh point of view, I'm interesting. I have stuff to offer. I like uplift your show. Like there's all kinds of benefits for me calling in. But that what is more important to them is them being the boss and not being outshined. So it doesn't matter that I'm bringing more viewers, that I'm bringing content, that I'm bringing like interesting things to like watch for his viewers. It doesn't matter. He has to like be the one that's the star of the show. And he brought up that my thumbnail reminds him of his ex-girlfriend, my hourglass shape. He brought up that I remind him of his mother. Like, bro, projection city. Like, he was talking about all of his problems with, like, I'm not that person. He like said all these things that I said. It's like, he didn't even let me talk. Like, I said 3 words and he started screaming over me and hung up on me. And I feel like Tommy even like jumped in and started screaming too. It's like, and he like talked for like 2 hours about stuff I didn't even say. It was like this imagined experience, total projection. Like, they're so threatened that I'm Aphrodite, that I'm like, I represent like divine femininity. Like, bro, I do live in my van, you know, like, he was going off on Kat and saying like he has nothing to learn from Kat. Are you kidding me? And then he's like, she comes and asks me if I ever considered living in a van. Like, he was offended. He's like, you even asked me that? Of course I considered living in a van. Of course I live in it. You think I'm stupid? It's like, so you're offended that Kat was asking you questions to get to know you, and the question she was asking you actually had considered, but you're offended that she asked you? But then he's like, oh, but he was offended because he's already a trucker, and if she had got to know him enough before she asked him if he considered living in a van, she would have known that he already is a trucker, and he's so much superiorly mentally higher than her that he could just live in his trucker cab and get paid to do the van life and not be so stupid like Kat and go to like freezing temperatures in her van. Well, you know what? Kat is actually free, and she gets to make her own decisions in her van, versus in your truck camper, you're on a designated route, and you basically have to sleep at truck stops and on the sides of freeways, and not like really get to go to like cool, desolate places. So, it does sound like, and then he said he did consider, like, it's like these people, they like actually contradict themselves in the same breath. And, you know, like, it's just, you know, and Benson, you are in my peer group. First of all, women are not a peer group. Women are not a peer group. Stop, like, there's like so much MGTOW misogyny in this, like, truther, in, not Drew, but like in the chalk body outline little clique. There's then Ben went on, he's like, we talk shit about Aphrodite for so long and she deserved it because she did some weird shit, and you know now, and oh, that was the other thing, they kept calling me see you next Tuesdays. Like, Illumitami kept calling me a cunt, and Benton's like, yeah, that's cool. Yeah, freedom of speech. She has the freedom to call you a see you next Tuesday. And it's like, I didn't do anything to anybody to get called that, first of all. Second of all, you shouldn't be allowing people to call me that. And then I wasn't even allowed to defend myself. He wouldn't even let me speak. He hung up on me and then talked for like 2 hours about what he thought I was going to say. Like, what kind of juvenile bullshit is that? Like, I hope your channel fails. I hope people unsub from you, and I regret recommending your channel. Because that is not a way to, like, expand the net. That's not a way to expand your channel, bro. Like, I bring so much to the table, like, as a gift to you. Like, And if you want to, like, say fuck that, like, call me and see you next Tuesday and, like, say you're superior to me, and then like talk about your lady doctor. Like, if you really knew anything about me, Benton, you probably would feel pretty foolish bragging about your lady doctor, talking about your balls, and then saying you're superior to me, because I'm kind of like a lady doctor. And I can do a vasectomy. So it's pretty childish. Like, total megalomaniac. Going off on Kat. Yeah. So, oh yeah, and that was the other thing, is that we kept on, he's like, he's like, sometimes, he finally was like, sometimes I jump to a conclusion and I think somebody's going to say something before they say it. And he's like, well, let's go back. He's like, let's go back and look at what actually happened. And so he rewound it, and he starts playing it to where he was talking, and he says, I'm not in your peer group of women. I'm not in that peer group. He says, I'm not in your peer group women. I'm not in your peer group. The peer group is women, and he's not in that group. That's what he says in so many words. And then while he's replaying it, he's reading my comments, and so he cuts the play and he starts responding to my comments live time again. And he never goes back to where I actually get cut off, where I called in and he doesn't let me speak. And so we're like, Drew Chalkwhite is like, play the video. And like EBT is like, play the video. Kat's like, play the video. I'm like, rewatch the video. You're going to be embarrassed when you rewatch the video and you see what actually happened and how you treated me when you didn't even let me say anything, and then you treated me like I came on like some kind of feminist. Because we are in this... Yeah, if we're in the same panels, we're talking on the same YouTube channels, the same people are in our chats, that's a peer group. And that would make you and me and all the people in our chats in the same peer group. Now, if you want to put a label on that, you can call that like truther, call it conspiracy theorists, call it enlightened people, call it skeptics of society. I don't know. Skeptics of the simulation. But that makes us in the same peer group. Now, would I put myself in the peer group of women? No, because there is about, 56% of the world population is women. And that's like a really big group to lump myself into as being my peers. Because usually peers are people you surround yourself in, like your colleagues at work, if you're in a university, your fellow students, or your friends, the people you hang out with and do hobbies with, your like family members. Those are your peers. So women in general, I would not consider my peer group. So the people in my peer group are men and women, because we think like-minded. It has nothing to do with gender at all. Actually, most of the people that watch me are men on my channel. And then he's like, the stuff I'm good in, the stuff I'm great at, the stuff I excel at, I'm better than you. I will always be superior to you. And I'm like typing like, Benton, I have more subs than you on YouTube. If you're trying to be exceptional on YouTube, I'm kind of better than you right now at it. So anyways, he definitely showed his true colors, and that he's a scared little boy that is afraid of what a woman has to say, that has a mind, an opinion. I mean, I don't know what's so scary about, like, what is so threatening about talking about peer groups. And he was talking, like, he literally had just come off of a rant about talking about how he wasn't in my peer group, and that how his platform is a platform of freedom of speech. That he only demonstrates freedom of speech on his channel. So yeah, like I don't know, like he wants to fight me for some reason. They all want to fight me. Like I'm like, I don't know why you want to fight me. I didn't do anything. Like I didn't. Like I am in your peer group. Like I'm not some feminist. Like they like want to make everything like this, like make it into hormones. Like both Illumitami and Benton kept bringing it to like hormones. Like Illumitami was like, oh, you just have estrogen, like, or estrogen. You just, oh, I assume you're saying this because you're full of estrogen or something. I was like, what? Like, and then Benton like kept bringing up his testosterone and like his balls. It's like, guys, like, I know there's stuff in the news about, you know, Bud Light and Dylan Mulvaney, but it doesn't have to like apply to every single situation. Like, I'm not like trying to come in here and talk about women's sports, but like you guys want to talk about that and like think that I'm some representation of that. Like I'm not. Like I didn't come in here trying to talk about men and women being equal and you know, a woman having a dick. Like I didn't. That's not what I came here to talk about. But they want to make it like that. And it's just silly. It's so archaic. It's so like backwards. And they're just showing really how mind controlled and programmed that they are. It's just like my actual existence, like my presence to them is an automatic offense. Like I couldn't even speak. He already knew what I was going to say, and he's like, you can't say that. I'm like, no, you can't even say that. This is my boundary. My boundary is no women can speak. Like, are you guys like Islamic? Like, is this like, I was like, is this MGTOW? Like, what is this? Like, I thought this was like a conspiracy theory thing, but I guess it's some kind of like bros only, Masonic, MGTOW women haters club. Because I guess women aren't allowed to talk or have an opinion, because if we have an opinion, it's automatically because we're a woman, and you can disagree with it because I'm a woman, and that's why. Like you can't actually have an argument against what I said, like topically, like addressing actually what I said. It's just hormones. I'm a woman. Like how lame is that? And it's like, how foolish are you talking about superiority and a man's job and a woman's job and how smart you are and la la la, you can't learn things from women. And you're addressing somebody that like is a medical, the lady doctor checking your balls. Like I do that. Like, and I could have written the prescription for your ultrasound of your balls and the lab work to order the testosterone serum levels. Like I would do that, and then I would examine your balls and maybe write a prescription for finasteride or something for baldness, or I don't know, like something like that. And that's all stuff I can do. Ones are real people. Thanks, guys. Thanks for your support. Thank you all. Thanks, Jessica Jane. Like, totally projecting onto me. I mean, he brought up girlfriends, he brings up his mom and his sisters, and like those people aren't me. Like, I am my own woman. Like, I am my own person. Like, you know, I have my own life, and whatever bad happened to you from other women, that's not every woman. Like you have to learn to not stop projecting your trauma on other people. Like, and let if you're gonna run a channel, let people speak. Like, let people call in and speak. And if some other person on the panel is always talking over somebody, you have to censor that person. Like, mute them and say, like, hey, you have to let people talk. Like, you can't have a screaming match. Like, because your listeners, they don't want to hear people screaming. You can't hear what other people, what the actual point is. It's just screaming, and it's really low vibe. Like you have to let somebody like say their point, pause, and then let the other person talk, and that's when you do the rebuttal. You don't like talk over them. Anyways, I'm gonna go. Thanks for your support.